Good morning, students. I hope you've had a chance to go outside today. It's really beautiful and sunshiny, though still quite chilly. I have a different vest on today. So you probably want to put on something a little extra if you go out. Let's take a look at our morning message. April 16th, 2020. Dear students, what is a life cycle? What is a life cycle? Do people have a life cycle? How is a butterfly's life cycle different from ours? Mrs. Kilmer. Wow, there are so many questions there. I know there are lots of questions because I see all these question marks. Let's reread that again and go question by question to kind of wake up our brains and get clear about what we're asking ourselves. What is a life cycle? Okay, a cycle, like a bicycle, is something where the wheel just goes around and around and around. And a cycle is something that continues going around and around, but it's the cycle of life. Oh, that's making me think of like the Lion King. The circle of life, the cycle of life. Okay, do people have a life cycle? Do we have life cycles? I think we're born and we're a baby, and then we grow up and we're little, but we get bigger and bigger, right? You're first graders now, and we get bigger and bigger until we're middle schoolers and teenagers, and then we're grown-ups, and then we get older too, and we become more like grandparents or older folks. So yeah, I guess people have a life cycle, right? We're a baby, then we get bigger and we get bigger and we get bigger. Okay. How is a butterfly's life cycle different from ours? Well, let's see. A butterfly starts off as an egg. Remember, we learned that in The Very Hungry Caterpillar, and I think you're learning it in the book you're reading from the learning plan today. And after an egg hatches, it comes out as a caterpillar, right? A caterpillar. So it's an egg, then it's a caterpillar, then it was eating a lot, and then it made like a little shell around itself. Remember that? And it was a cocoon, right? So it was something else. It was like a little cocoon. And then when it busted out of the cocoon, it was completely different. It was a butterfly. So it started off as an egg, and then it was like a little caterpillar like looking like a worm thing, but in the end it looked very different. So I'm wondering, how is that different from us? You know what? I'm not going to answer that question. I want you to think about it. How is that different from how we change over the course of our life cycle? Okay? I'll be back in a minute with our book for today. Welcome back, students. This morning, we're going to enjoy a nonfiction book that has a very direct connection to your reading today. My book to share with you is called A Butterfly's Life Cycle. So on the cover, I see a beautiful orange and black butterfly. I think that's called a monarch butterfly. And look, I even see these white arrows going like a cycle. Actually, that's kind of reminding me of the arrows on a recycling symbol. And we talked about that when we learned about symbols, the 3 arrows that go around to show recycling. But this is the life cycle symbol. Ooh, there's so much on the back here. Let me read the blurb. A butterfly's life cycle. How does a tiny egg transform? Transform means change. Into a beautiful butterfly. See a caterpillar grow wings right before your eyes. Explore life cycles. Oh my gosh, here's more information about life cycles. All living things have a life cycle. Watch a sunflower seed sprout or a butterfly's wings unfold for the first time. Discover the magic and science behind the lives of these amazing plants and animals. Oh, so this is talking about these other books in the series. Guess what? I have some of those. Maybe I'll share some more of those with you as they really go well with springtime, because all these animals and plants are blossoming and growing and moving through their life cycles. Okay, let's get to the book. Here's the title page. Butterfly's Life Cycle by Mary R. Dunn, Capstone imprint. This is a Pebble Plus science book. Oh my goodness, what a beautiful close-up photograph of a butterfly. Oh, table of contents. Oh, I forgot to put up my nonfiction posters to remind us of the nonfiction text features, but let's see what we're going to learn about. Life in an egg, hungry caterpillars, inside a pupa. I've kind of heard that word before. Life as a butterfly. Glossary, read more, internet sites, critical thinking questions index. Okay, and I see for the illustration they just use the silhouette or the outline of a butterfly. Oh, I see a heading. Life in an egg. A female monarch butterfly floats in the air. She is looking for a special plant. At last, she finds a milkweed plant and lays her eggs. Wow, so I see these arrows, maybe trying to remind us about a cycle. And here she is up close, and I think and there's the caterpillar in the background, and I guess she's laying eggs. Caterpillars hatch from the eggs in about a week. These little critters eat their way out of the egg using their strong jaws. Oh, look. So if you look close up, this clear part is the egg that they ate their way out of. Oh, hungry caterpillars. Hungry caterpillars eat milkweed leaves. They eat until their skin gets too tight. Pop! They molt or shed their old skins. Underneath is a new, larger skin. Wow. I got to stop and think about this. When we get bigger, do our skins pop open? No, our skins kind of stretch and get bigger with us. Ooh, maybe that's something different between a butterfly life cycle and a human life cycle. A caterpillar sheds its skin 4 or 5 times. The caterpillar hangs upside down from a leaf. It sheds its skin 1 more time. The new layer is called a pupa or chrysalis. Oh, look, it's so beautiful. I'm making a connection to the very hungry caterpillar. In that story, this kind of thing was brown and it was called a cocoon. But here, this one's very colorful and they're calling it a pupa or chrysalis. Inside a pupa. The pupa hardens as it dries. Inside the pupa, a caterpillar's body changes. After about 2 weeks, the pupa cracks open. Oh my goodness, I can kind of see through the skin, the shell of the pupa, that there's a butterfly inside. A butterfly pulls itself out of the pupa. Its body is wet and folded. Its wings slowly open and dry in the sun. Wow, look at it coming out of the pupa. Now I got to stop and think again. Do we ever make a shell or cover ourselves with something and then come out looking completely different? Do humans do that? Maybe that's another difference. Life as a butterfly. All summer, the monarch flies from flower to flower. It unrolls its long tongue to eat. The monarch sucks nectar from the flowers. Yum! Nectar is like the sweet juice inside the flower that the monarch butterfly eats. Days get shorter. The weather gets cooler. Monarch butterflies know it is time for the long flight south. They rest in trees along the way. Oh my goodness. Wait, days get shorter, weather gets cooler. So it's like the seasons are changing. It's like winter is coming. I'm making a connection to some of our science learning. What's that called when animals fly south in the winter to get away from the cold to go somewhere warmer? Do you remember what that's called? Migration, right? Migración. We learned that in science with Senora Salazar. In spring, the sun warms the butterflies. Most fly north. Oh, they fly back north. Butterflies mate and the females lay eggs. Caterpillars hatch and molt, and from a pupa comes a beautiful butterfly. Oh, so that's kind of describing the whole cycle in words. But look, here I see some photographs showing the whole cycle. So it starts right here with the egg, caterpillar, then the caterpillar's hanging upside down and making a pupa, and then the pupa's changing, and then an adult butterfly is coming out. That's a big change. That is a really big change over the course of the butterfly life cycle. So different from an egg to this. Oh, and here's a glossary, right? That tells about some of the special words and what they mean. Here's read more internet sites. And back here are some questions you could ask yourself. And index, right? Index is a nonfiction text feature where it lists the special words and what page you can find them on. And so I hope you enjoyed this great information book with just beautiful photographs of a butterfly's life cycle. And I hope we're thinking about how is a butterfly's life cycle different from ours. You know what I'd like you to do is maybe you can talk to your siblings or your parents about these questions, and you could write to me or draw a picture or send me your response to these questions. How is it really different from what our life cycle is like? I wanted to add a teaching point to the book that you guys were reading earlier this week, The Butterfly Cafe. I think it's very important to look carefully in the book. At the end, it's got a text feature. Even though it's kind of like a fiction book because it's about a girl and her mom, it still has a lot of real science information in it. So it's a kind of combination of fiction and nonfiction. And in the back, there's a glossary, just like with other nonfiction books. And in the glossary, you can see, remember, a glossary is where it explains what kind of special new words are and their meanings. And in the glossary, there's two things to notice. Number one, this book doesn't have an index, but instead of an index, it does say at the end of each definition what page you could find that word on in the book, right? So cafe, a small restaurant that sells drinks and light meals, and you could find the word cafe on page 9. So instead of having a separate index, it has the index information in the glossary. But the real teaching point I want to draw your attention to, I want to show you, is after each of these words, it has something in parentheses. It has like a little N with a period. And I want to talk about what that N means. We talked about this a little bit in school, but I just want to remind you, N with a period means it's like an abbreviation. It's just the shortened version of a real word. So N means noun, noun. And a noun is a kind of word, that is a person, place, or thing. And if you think about it, all these words, cafe, customers, milkweed, monarch, nectar, shelter. I could also be saying dog, cat, pizza. Those are all things, right? Those are all things. So a noun is a kind of a word, and it's a person, place, or thing. So I just wanted you to take note of that and start to think sometimes about, well, what kinds of words are these? And when you see something different like that that you've not seen before, you should ask somebody about it. Maybe ask your parents, like, what does that mean? Yeah, or maybe I'll take the opportunity to explain it in a video. Okay, I look forward to seeing you this afternoon for our afternoon story.